Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sick, and today we're going to talk about MQ2Mage. I just want to apologize ahead of time. I've been fighting bronchitis for a month, and had bronchitis for a month 2 weeks before that, so my voice is pretty much shot, and I sound real weird, so I apologize for that. So we're going to kind of jump right in here. If you're new to the Chat with This Name class plugins, we have a section on the forums that is getting started with the Chat with This Name class plugins, where it'll go through the stuff for the user interface. It'll go through like how to find ad clicky information. It'll go through how to find all the commands that we're going to talk about here in a second, and it's going to show you how to find the frequently asked questions and all that stuff. This will be in pre-release. So it'll be the beta release that anybody can give a test here on this Wednesday, which I believe is the 16th or the 17th of June. So let's load this bad boy. We're gonna slash plugin MQ2Mage load. Now, just like all the other Chat with This Name class plugins, if this is the first time you're loading it, you'll have to do a slash load skin default or a slash reload UI to get the little user interface to pop up. It's the first item in all the frequently asked questions, but since I already have other Chat with This Name class plugins loaded, I shouldn't need to do that. I should press this button and we should see this pop up. And so you got to spell plugin, not plugin MQ2Mage. I'm probably going to make fun of my voice a lot here, which is probably bad for my voice, but whatever. All right, so we're going to load this. Now, immediately, we're going to start doing stuff, because the settings are set up in a way that we're immediately going to start doing stuff. And I'll give this a second to kind of do its own business, and then we'll go through all of the stuff. So, immediately, I'm grabbing stuff, and I'm immediately handing out the pets around me. Everybody's getting weapons. Now, if you noticed, I intentionally put everyone around me, and I put some pets in a mode that you can see them get weapons. If you notice, that happened instantly. It's only going to hand out pets to characters that are around you in your group. So it's not going to, try to give a pet weapon to a mob 100,000 miles away. Just like, hey, is this pet near me? Cool. Or do they have a weapon? No, they don't. All right, we're going to hand out weapons. There's no specificity for, I only use blue swords, or I only use purple swords, or I want to mix and match. It's going to hand out a sword. But if you notice right now, we're summoning a whole bunch of stuff, and I'll get there in a second on the settings to help manage that stuff. So as soon as it stops summoning all these little bullshit summon items, we'll hop into it. Okay, so it should do the Cometide Orb, and then summon one, inventory it, and I think we're good. Did we already do burnout on our pet? Yeah, we already did burnout on our pet. Okay, so now we're chilling. So let's hop into these options so you can kind of see how to manage some of this stuff. Because loading in, there's a bunch of stuff happening right off the bat, and a lot of this stuff you can turn off. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We have all of the regular options that you're used to seeing in the shared Chat with This Name stuff. So I'm going to skip all of those. We're going to go right down through these, and I'll talk about the pet type stuff here as well. Actually, let's start with the pet type. So if we do mage pet type, and I hit that, it says highest. So this allows you to specify if you want fire, earth, water, air, monster, or the highest level pet that you have. So you can really decide which one that you want. So if I wanted, like right now, I am mage pet type is set to highest, which is 5. So if I wanted to change it to if I wanted to change it to fire, would be 0. So let me kill my pet, and if you see, I memorize manifestation of fire. I should summon the fire pet. I should pretty much immediately hand out weapons. Yep, I handed out weapons. I'm going to give him burnout, and he's good to go. Let's go back to air 0, 1, 2, 3. So change it to air. I'm going to kill it. Manifestation of air, same deal. We should summon it should immediately give it pet weapons if we still have weapons. And then we're going to, you know, give it burnout and all that and be ready to rumble. So I was out of pet weapons. I summoned a new pack. Boom, handed them. Good to go. Let's move this out of the way so you can kind of see what's happening there. Buffing the pet. Put Molten Comatite Orb back in place. Okay, so this is pet type. So you can do the drop down here as well. Fire, earth, water, air, monster, and highest level. And kind of go from there. As always, these are toggles. If you want to save it, so that's your setting that you load when you load the plugin, use the / command to change it. Let's get into these. So we have combat summon pet. This is going to resummon your pet in combat, and then put your gems back to what they would normally be. This is the same thing we have in Beast Lord. It's defaulted to off. A lot of people have this turned on and they don't realize what's going on, and they're like, hey, I'm doing stuff in combat and I don't want that to happen. So we're gonna default that to off. But if you want to stop what you're doing and rememorize a pet, let's say you're you're pet tanking, or you need your pet to be, you know, continually summoned, you'd have this on, and then it would just resummon your pet and then put your gems back to how it would be. We have pet taunt toggle. This is the same thing that we have with MQ2 Beast. This will automatically toggle your pet to taunt if your MA is dead. So if you're in a group and you have an MA assigned, and all of a sudden he's a corpse on the ground and he's not alive, we'll toggle on pet taunt just to give you a little bit of time to be able to get your tank rezzed up and all of that stuff. Now the same thing with MQ2 Beast and the other plugins. This pet taunt toggle doesn't mean that if our MA disappears, all of a sudden we're now the MA and we're tanking and we're doing all this stuff. We're not going to change targets or do any of that stuff. We're not going to select a new target if the target we're fighting dies. It's just if our MA is dead, we're going to toggle on taunt to help buy us a couple of seconds to get the team back in action. Then we have pet shrink. This is done with the diminutive companion. Combat gather. This is if you want to use the gather capacity line while in combat or not. We have use eradicate. This will use eradicate magic to remove beneficial spells from your target. This is the same thing we have in enchanter, MQ2 enchanter. Now we have logic in there that is not going to try to remove stuff that's not removable, or try to remove stuff like what is it, magic of the mighty or mighty of the whatever TLP stuff. So it's not going to try to remove that, but other beneficial spells that are dispellable will be able to remove that. Use group mod rod. Now, like all of the chat with the same class plugins, we don't communicate with any other classes or care what they're doing in the rest of them. We don't say, hey, is Bill out of a mod rod? If so, I'm going to cast mod rod. We recast it if we don't have a mod rod. And currently we don't have any requesting built in where you can request a new mod rod or anything like that. That may be something we end up doing in the future, but for now it's just we're going to resummon mod rod if we don't have one and you are using the group mod rod. So we have Mallow and use Mallow AoE. This is the same sort of options we have with like Shaman, where maybe you do want to use the AoE version but you don't want to use the single target, or vice versa. This allows you to do that. Use melee. Use nuke. Now we debated on leaving this as an option or not, because an argument could be made that if you don't want a nuke, then why on earth why do you even have this loaded? But there may be a circumstance where you just want to send your pet or something and you don't want to do any nuking or something, whatever. It's an option. So we have use paradox. This is like the Grant Frostbound paradox and Grant Icebound paradox, like that line of stuff. We just call it paradox. So this is if you want to summon all that stuff. Use pet weapons. This is again if you want to summon and hand them out to group pets. It doesn't do X target, it doesn't do raid, it only does group pets. We have use Shield of Fate. So this is if you want to use the Shield of Fate line, you click that, and so we should have that up right now. Shield of Fate, which is what? Use Shield of Fate. Wait, do we not have that? Okay, so we have the option, but it's not in here. Okay, I'm gonna add those now. It's kind of weird that we didn't have them in there, especially since it's a thing that is here. So there's that. Okay, and then we have use Skin DS and use Veil DS. These are if you want to use those particular things. Use Skin DS. So if you have Skin DS memorized and use Skin DS, you're going to cast that. Same thing with Veil DS. Yep. All right, so those are both there. Some of the spell loadouts will end up having adjustments as we go through this beta. For example, so we have the BU Skin DS, and it's kind of just here in this slot. If you turn this off, it still memorizes Skin DS. And there's nothing else that goes in its slot. So there's a few things we still have some room to add some adjustments as far as the spell loadout goes. BU Swarm Pet. Let's see where this is used. So that's just for our Swarm Pet and for Host of the Elements. Yeah, so that's for our actual Swarm Pet spell and for Host of the Elements if we want to use those. I'm going to do MQ2Mage unload, and I'm going to reload this just because I want to show the spell groups. So we have shielding, we have the pets, air pet, fire pet, earth pet, water pet, monster summoning. I actually don't even know why that's a thing. Like, I don't know why monster is a thing, but again, we have that in there for the pet option. Pet weapons, pet block, auspice, stance, pet heal, bodyguard, pyro, 2 spears. Let's see, molten, arcanite, and commonite. Comatite. 2 bolts. I'm sorry, 2 bolt of and a bolt. Shock combo sands of many, burnout, pet aura, rampart, phantom armor, skin DS, veil DS, DS group circle, DS coat, swarm pet, gather capacity, twin cast, DD pet heal, self mod rod, group mod rod, magic beam, fire beam, alliance, and dissident. So we have all those added in there. This is pretty straightforward. Again, this is the beta, so you know, we're definitely looking for feedback and adjustments. There are a few things long term we definitely need to do. Like I said, some of the spell gems for fallbacks if you don't have them, or if you're a certain level, or if you have options turned off. You know, you want to be able to memorize something else in those spaces. But the DPS is really good. The burn stuff is good. We've had a bunch of people testing it, and everyone's been real happy with it so far. And that's kind of been the feedback, really, is they're happy. So it's not the best feedback ever, but yeah. So did I go over all of the options? I think I did. So let's go over a couple of things that are probably going to come up in frequently asked questions, and there'll be more as I think more and things that are asked frequently. Call of the hero. There's no call. We're not call of the heroing. I guess it could be possible at somewhere down the line that we could take a request for a call of the hero, and then somebody could request it, and then, you know, do the thing and whatever. But at least at this time, we don't have any plans of adding something like that. You know, again, this is for, you know, the Chat with the Same Class plugins are kind of meant for just out of the box doing their job, being a mage, and some specialized stuff like that is kind of out of the scope. Currently, it doesn't do, you know, rings or armor or any of that other summon stuff. The only summon stuff that it does is swords. I'm not entirely sure if we intend on doing other stuff later on. It's kind of a pain to, for that stuff, but Chat's been primarily working on this thing, so I kind of leave that up to him. And that's kind of MQ2Mage. You'd really want to see this in battle. We spent a good amount of time going through and doing, you know, the burn routine and the regular routine. Anyway, so this is what MQ2Mage looks like. This will be active on the 16th. It's June 16th, Wednesday, June 16th. This will be in pre-release for anybody to give a try. But that's all for now, and I will talk to you soon.